Today, we're talking about Ban-sugoroku. Ki-no-Haseo was a high-ranking aristocrat and a literary scholar. He was such a learned man that he was recommended by fellow scholar Sugawara Michizane, later turned demon, I'm scared, to be vice envoy to the last diplomatic mission to Tang Dynasty, China. But Haseo particularly bragged about his skill in playing Ban-sugoroku, even saying that he was the best player at the game. One day, on his way to Heian Palace, a stranger stops him. "So, you are the best player at Ban-sugoroku, are you? Want to bet on that?" "Are you sure? Because you will lose." "Prove it. Meet me at the Suzakumon and we'll put your skill to the test." Later on, Haseo would meet the stranger at Suzakumon. They'd climb up the steep stairs to the second floor of the gate. In the corner is a Ban-sugoroku board, ready to be played. Ban-sugoroku was a very popular game in its time, loved by emperors, aristocrats, as well as the common people. But if you mention the word sugoroku today, people in Japan have a very different image in their minds. And it's not this. So today, let's talk about Ban-sugoroku. Where did it come from? How did it get to Japan? And how has it changed to be enjoyed even in the present day? The game Ban-sugoroku reaches Japan via the Silk Road during the Nara period. But where does it actually originate from? Well, we'll have to travel back to Egypt 4,000 to 5,000 years ago.
This is it, a game called Senet.
I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
The game had 30 squares divided into 3 rows of 10 columns. There were 10 or more pawns used in the game, and the squares on the board included hieroglyphic signs.
Senet falls out of popularity around the beginning of the Roman Empire, but in the 5th century, a relatively similar game shows up in Rome and Greece.
Duodecim scriptorum,
Latin was for the smart kids at school.
or Game of 12, was played with 3 dice and included 15 pieces on the board.
The following century sees what would become Ban-sugoroku appear in China. Called Sha'andu, this would be the game that would cross over into Japan in the 7th century. However, the first ever record of the game being in Japan was an edict that shows up in the Nihon Shoki by Emperor Jito, banning the game in December of 689.
I could not find any reason why Emperor Jito would order such a thing. One possible reason I can come up with happens in April of that year. Prince Kusakabe, the next in line to the throne, dies of illness, and the next prince in line, Prince Karu, is only 7 years old. And so Emperor Jito ascends the throne ahead of Prince Karu, who does eventually become emperor.
Since the government was under such uncertainty, perhaps Emperor Jito wanted to stop others from meeting and scheming like over a game. Whatever the reason is, Ban-sugoroku did include gambling, and one thing the aristocrats gambled on was Haseo and the stranger start to play. With every dice roll, Haseo's pieces fly over the board towards the goal, leaving the stranger struggling to keep up. Finally, as the pieces are lined up for the final battle, the stranger speaks. "I'm going to level with you. I am no ordinary man." "What do you mean?" "I am none other than the demon who resides at this gate." "Wait, the demon of Suzakumon? You heard of me?" "No." "Oh. Well, now I want to make this game interesting. Let's bet on the winner." "I'm pretty confident that you're going to lose." "Then you will have no problem betting on your land. You have some nice property, don't you?" "All right. But what will you give me?" "Should you win, as unlikely as it is, I will introduce to you the most beautiful woman you have ever seen." "Then get ready to lose, demon." Haseo grabs the dice, pop, pop into the cup, and with the shake, 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 he throws out the dice for the last battle. Eventually, the ban on the game is uplifted, and it is enjoyed by the aristocrats of the Heian period.
Many historical people wrote about the game, such as Sei Shonagon, things that soothe your soul, Go, Sugoroku, and stories. Murasaki Shikibu, They were playing Sugoroku. The player rubbed their hands together excitedly and shouted, "Kosai, Kosai!" And even Taira no Kiyomori. The current of the Kamo River, the dice of a Sugoroku game, and mountain priests are things I care not for.
But by the Sengoku period, games like Igo and Shogi would become more popular. Igo especially was useful in learning battle tactics and strategy. At least that's what I was told when I was introduced to the game during my college days. Ban-sugoroku would become the kind of game of, hey, do you remember that dice game? Oh yeah, that was a fun game. Let's play it for old time's sake. Dice board games would not completely disappear. In fact, a new game appears in the Jodo Buddhist sect.
Jodo Sugoroku was a game using dice and a game board of squares on paper. In the squares, vocabulary used in Buddhism or even religious teachings would be drawn out on the squares, and players would learn about Jodo Buddhism.
Tendai Buddhism would have their own game to teach followers about their religion too. After the Edo period kicks off, the Sugoroku board games about religion would move over to more party-related themes.
Douchu Sugoroku would be played in tea houses and would have large board games made by famous ukiyo-e artists. The themes would be about career advancement or on morals. Also, multiple players could play the game at the same time, which was the perfect party game for travelers getting to know each other.
You've probably played a kind of Douchu Sugoroku yourself. Ever played Chutes and Ladders or The Game of Life or Monopoly? I found this kind of Douchu Sugoroku game at my local Toys R Us.
It's a game that teaches players the cities and prefectures of Japan by using different modes of transportation like express trains, the Shinkansen, and even by airplane.
Go no kawa という川があって、その川の港があるから Go
On the board, there are different types of merits and punishments.
エンジェルスポット。一番ベッタの人が5つ進める。
よし。じゃあ1、2、3、4、5。
鶴が。福島で止まると4個戻る。
なんで？
原子力発電所の事故で。
ひどいなんこれ。
差別や。
But nobody plays board games anymore. It's all about video games now.
Well, dice-driven board games have moved on to video games such as Mario Party or even Momotaro Dentetsu here in Japan. So yep, we're still playing Douchu Sugoroku today. Eat it, demon. I've won. So you have. I will need to get your reward. Wait for me at your residence. Haseo goes home and awaits the demon with his reward. It wasn't long when the demon showed up with the most beautiful woman in the world. There is a catch. You can have this beautiful woman, but you cannot touch her for 100 days. No matter how much she begs, do not touch her. Not even to hold her hand? Nothing for 100 days. The demon leaves Haseo with the woman.
Haseo, I'm so happy to be here with you. Let me know what it is I can do for you.
She reaches out for him, but he ducks. Just looking beautiful is all I need. There, sit there and let me appreciate you. Fully clothed.
But don't you love me?
Of course I do. Let me take in your beauty from there. This went on for hours, for days, for weeks, until 80 days had passed.
Don't you love me?
Haseo could not stand it anymore. Of course I do. And he finally embraces her. But it had not been 100 days like the demon had warned. To Haseo's shock, the beautiful woman melts into water and gently flows away. Ban-sugoroku would be a popular enough game to be included in the Hina Doll display as a necessary board game to have in the aristocratic household. But if you were to mention Sugoroku today, everyone would think of the Game of Life or Momotaro Dentetsu. Ban-sugoroku does live on in spirit in the game Backgammon, which came to Japan after World War II. Oh, and the rest of the story of Ki-no-Haseo? Well, look for that in a future performance at the virtual Sekite Tenpachido Hall. Oh, and speaking of the Hina Doll display, Ban-sugoroku is one of 3 games that was included in a traditional set. What were the other 2? Check out this video to find out. But that's all I have for you today. See you next time.
極度南春でございました。